Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Claudia Vidal with us. She is an author, business consultant, and life coach. So welcome to the show, Claudia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. We'll dive into the first one. The first question I have for you, Claudia, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Wow, I have many stories, but I guess the one that stands out the most is how I pretty much went through childhood abuse, some sort of neglect, depression, and an identity crisis. And I surrendered myself to just become totally opposite of who I was when I was a child. So now I am, hopefully, I like to call myself balanced emotionally and mentally, and very happy.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
I mean, for me, it's more about authenticity. I feel that across the board, not just in my area, but the more authentic you are, the more people connect with you. And the more people connect with you, whatever business field you get into, you will succeed. Because nowadays, that's what people are looking for. They are aching for connection, for real life experiences.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
My motto is always the same, dare to be human. And I know it sounds very general, but I feel that we have lost the concept of human essence, especially because of technology and everything that has happened in the last, 20, 30 years. And I am pro-technology, I am pro-advancement, but I also believe that if we don't evolve consciously at the same rate that technology is advancing, we will lose that essence, which is what connects us through all of us. And that could be for business, relationships, parenting, it doesn't matter.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
To stop being afraid and to pretty much go for it and have the courage that now I have, because I didn't. I had so many opportunities and I turned them all down. I sabotaged myself because I didn't feel I was good enough. And I would just tell that girl, go for it. You can do this.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
For me, is living consciously and in balance, because when you live from that concept, everything seems much more easier. Life is less complicated. Problems seems to melt away. It's just about having a healthy balance between your nutrition, your emotional stability, your mental stability, your environment, the relationships you form, and living consciously, being aware, which is something we kind of do to a certain degree, but be more conscious about how we eat, how we treat people, what purchases are we making, what businesses are we investing in, everything that we do to be a little more mindful.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from it?
I love to read. I guess the best book would be The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And I have to say that it was life-changing for me because I grew up pretty much poor. I came from nothing, where we didn't know what we were going to eat. We had to wear the same clothes for the whole year, all the scarcity. And that book taught me that scarcity is something that's not just material. It's something that comes from your mindset. So although you have a good job, you have a business, maybe involved in great projects, you will find a way to deplete the money if you don't change your mindset. And I learned that through that book.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
Wow. I have a lot of quotes. There's one particular one that I always remember, and that's, I don't know who wrote it, but I know something that goes like this. Never allow anyone to become your priority while allowing yourself to be their option. And the reason why I always liked that was because that was me always putting myself last to meet other people's needs. I was always about how he felt, how she felt, and didn't really see how people value me or even, care, because I thought it was more important for that person to be happy than me.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
They can find me in my website. That's huesofchange.com. Hues of Change. And they can also find me on Facebook, Claudia Vidal. I have a personal page and business page there.
Perfect. Thanks again, Claudia. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.